Are we good to go?
Yep.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the November 29th meeting, excuse me, of the CB6 Business Affairs and Licensing Committee. My name is Claire Brennan, and I'm the chair of this committee. Tonight, we are joined by Community Associate Alex Crawford. This meeting is called to order at 6:31 p.m. As a reminder, New York State law now requires all community board members to have their cameras on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. If your camera is not on and your name not properly displayed, you cannot count towards quorum. Members of the public, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. If there's time following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. We need a volunteer to take minutes tonight. I'm willing to just do them because I think people have stepped up for the past few weeks. So unless someone else wanted to do them desperately.
I'll take minutes, Claire.
Susan, thank you. I know you did them not too long ago, but thank you for that. That's helpful. Now we will take attendance by roll call, and Alexandra will conduct the roll call.
Committee members, I will call your name and you will unmute yourselves. When your name is called, please say present. I will announce if there's quorum. Claire Brennan.
Present.
Paige Judge. Paige. I'll go back to Paige. Anton is.
I see Paige waving, and maybe she does have to respond virtually, but she is here, Paige. But sorry.
You can just say, let the record show Paige Judges.
Yeah, we'll mark that Paige is present. I see that Paige is here with her camera on. Anton's not going to be here today. Seema Shah.
Present.
Susan Steinberg.
Present.
John Keller. John.
Present.
Kevin is not going to be here tonight. Jason Littman.
Present.
And Neil Barclay.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you, Alexandra. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and appears before you on the screen. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand now through Zoom. Okay, I don't see any objections. So the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the October 27th committee meeting are still being drafted. Therefore, there are no minutes up for adoption tonight's meeting. They will be up for adoption at the next meeting, which is December 20th. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. 1, no one may speak until granted the floor. 2, committee members, if you have a question about committee business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. 3, the chat function should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us of any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated on the record aloud during the meeting. When a committee member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you and you can unmute yourself so that you can speak. Committee members are required by the state open meetings law to have their Zoom cameras on, excuse me, and your first and last name displayed during tonight's entire meeting, from call to order to adjournment. If you must step away from your computer briefly, you are required to leave your camera on. So now we're getting into committee business and going to follow the agenda. So first up is a new on-premises license for East 40th Street, Renwick LLC, doing business as the Beatnik. at 118 East 40th Street. Is there a representative from the Beatnik here? Hi, David. So you can unmute yourself and walk us through your application to get started.
Yes, so it currently has a liquor license. We're taking over just the restaurant space for the hotel. The liquor license is just for the restaurant. The hotel's not going to need one. They don't do any room service. And we're looking to do a lounge called the Beatnik, and it is going to be a celebration of the history of the Renwick. And we're going to do like live music, DJ, like a vinyl. It's going to be like a vinyl record lounge kind of thing. And we're going to serve food, full food service, lunch, breakfast, dinner.
Great, thank you. I'll open it up to the committee if anyone has any questions for David. John?
Yeah, you mentioned the history of the Renwick, and I will plead a little ignorance here, if you could just fill us in a bit on that.
So yeah, the Renwick used to be a kind of boutique hotel for the Beatniks in the 50s and 60s. So we're kind of playing on that tradition, and going to make a cool kind of lounge that spins vinyl, and we're going to do kind of play into that history. So I think if you can look it up, but a whole bunch of famous writers and musicians and artists stayed there during that era.
I think I might want to drop by. That sounds close to my generation. So.
Yeah, I think it'll be real fun, and I think a lot of our hospitality group is to tell stories and kind of keep traditions alive. So we want to be modern and cool, but yeah.
Seema?
Can you just state your hours again, please? And then I have a second question, which is, are you connected to the Beatnik in Chicago at all?
No, this is a completely separate, independent group. We just like the name.
Okay, cool.
Our hours, what we want to apply for is 6 a.m. or that's when the restaurant will be open, because we're doing early breakfast, to 3 a.m. Our actual serving liquor hours are going to be ideally 11 to 3 a.m. 7 days a week.
Okay, thank you. Susan?
Yeah, how many seats, or what's the capacity?
So the capacity is going to be, I think it's 230, or not 230, 130, 130 people, 124. We have a public assembly in place for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, just I'm not sure if you were the one who filled out the application or if someone else did, but there are a few like discrepancies in what you said and what the application says. So
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Or just thinking, you did ask for like 4 a.m. or you mentioned the hours or until 4 a.m. on the application, or our personal application. And then you also said that the indoor capacity was only 74 people. So I just wanted to clarify on those.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure that it's definitely not that. We had an attorney, liquor license attorney, that's never been to this space or came by briefly to find some information about it. So there may be some typos, but I can make sure that it's definitely over 100. So.
Mm-hmm. And then you said that you on the application, it just says like DJ and pre-recorded music, but you had mentioned live music, or is that just kind of the?
Oh, no, sorry. The DJ. Yeah, there's no live music. It's just DJ and pre-recorded.
Right, okay. And then you would not be serving liquor at 6 a.m. You would start serving at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
But that would be 7 days a week. I think it's kind of unique that it's a hotel, so I do. And usually we ask new establishments to stop service at like midnight, but I think in this instance, it does seem appropriate to have service until 3. Is that, or the committee would have to like agree with that as well, but do you know what the current, or you said that you were taking over the space? Do you know
So
what their numbers are?
yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the current situation was. It was a lot more of a restaurant the space. That's why we're working with the hotel to have acoustical engineers to make sure that there's no bleed over, because obviously they're the people that are most concerned about any kind of noise or riffraff or any kind of things like associated with that. So the hotel is our landlord and very much concerned the most about making sure that everything is going to be suitable for the guests.
Mhm. Thank you. Susan, do you have another question, or is that?
Oh, I forgot to lower my hand. I'm sorry.
No worries. Paige? And you're on mute, Paige, so you just have to unmute yourself.
Okay, this used to be Domenico's. And I just want to know whether you corrected the handicapped accessible issue.
Yes, there's a lift inside when you go into the front entrance of the hotel. There's a
Okay.
lift that connects both to the
Hotel and to the restaurant.
hotel and into the restaurant space.
I misunderstood you, I think. Did you say that you did not need a liquor license?
Oh, no, we definitely need a liquor license.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was going to say. Okay, I thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any more questions or motions?
Motion and no objection if there are no questions from the public or members of the committee.
I'm not seeing any questions from the public.
Second,
No.
Okay, Susan, thank you for seconding that motion. So if anyone objects to this motion, raise your hand through Zoom. And I don't see any objections. So Alexandra, do you mind pulling up the resolution quickly? Thank you. And while she's doing that, David, it would just be appreciated if you could refill out our questionnaire and we can get that to you, or the staff can send it along and then just resubmit it to us.
Okay. Okay. So what were the just the couple changes that I?
Yep. So it was the hours, I guess. And then the capacity needed to change, but that's all.
And the music, I think.
I think that the music.
Oh, the music was correct. Right. Yeah.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And then, so just refill that out and then submit it and then,
Yeah, whenever you can.
okay, great.
Thank you. So, and then we, right now, are just filling out like the resolution that we just voted on as a committee to pass, and then it'll go to the full board at the end of the month. So, and
Okay.
you'll get a copy of this too from the office. So it's a resolution of no objection.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And then, sorry, so you said it was like a restaurant, a bar and restaurant, or is there something more specific that you would?
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a restaurant full time, and then at night it's gonna be more of a lounge, but we're gonna serve food the whole time.
You could say like the establishment is a bar / lounge and restaurant.
Mhm.
And then, so the operating hours, you said 6 a.m. to 3 a.m.
Yeah, 6 a.m. to 3, or I mean, we could do 4. I don't think anyone ever wants to work those hours, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, we can, the broader the better, honestly, for us, but I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you did make a good point about the hotel and you being kind of like their neighbor, so I
Say
think,
4 a.m. is great. I mean, I don't think it's.
yeah. Okay, so we could say 4 a.m. unless I'll just give the committee like a minute to raise their hand if they object to that, but we could say 4 a.m. And you said 7 days a week.
Mhm.
There weren't any stipulations. And no one really had comments for our guests against, they were just questions. So we have no objection. I think that's it. And no one, it was unanimous, so. Thank you, David, for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate you walking us through your application, and we look forward to visiting once you're open up.
Yeah,
Great.
good luck. When do you think you'll be open?
We're hoping, I mean, honestly, as soon as we get our liquor license, we're doing it's just light construction, so it's not much.
Good luck.
So hopefully May. Thank you.
Great. Take care. Okay, so next up is a new on-premises license for 517 Lex LLC at 517 Lexington Avenue. Is that Adriana?
Yes, hi, how are you guys?
Great, how are you doing? Similarly, if you don't mind walking us through your application, you can introduce the other people who who are with you tonight.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adriana from Hellbrunn and Levy. Tonight, I have Nick Renato, the sole principal, here with us, and also in attendance is Joseph Levy. We're here to present for 517 Lex LLC, located at 517 Lexington Ave on the corner of East 48th Street. This premise is located in the ground floor of Hotel 48 Lex, as you see on the screen. The premise is currently licensed with full liquor with 2 a.m. closing time. The current restaurant has been there for over a decade. We are here tonight applying for a full liquor license with a temporary permit. We will be operating a French American restaurant with no outdoor dining, background music only, Inside we'll have 88 seats, 38 tables, and 9 bar seats. The application before you has the hours of 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. We would kindly like to ask to amend those hours to midnight. This will just, after speaking with the hotel, they had mentioned a later closing time. It will still be earlier than the 2 a.m. that's currently at this premise right now. This will just allow more flexibility. Yes, and now we'll turn it back to you if you guys have any questions or would like any clarifications on anything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do any committee members have questions? What did you say the capacity was?
The capacity is 120, but we have 88 seats and 9 bar seats.
Mhm. Great. Seema?
Just a quick question, Adriana, you had mentioned a temporary permit. Is that in relation to this application or something else?
The temporary permit would be, we are eligible for a temporary permit because the space is currently licensed.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I don't have any other questions, so I'm not seeing any other hands. Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion of no objection.
Second,
Seema, thank you, John. So if anyone on the committee objects to this motion, raise your hand. Seeing no objections, this motion, no objection, passes in the committee. If Alexandra, you don't mind pulling up the second template for this. Okay. So resolution of no objection. And you said it's like a French restaurant.
Yes, it will be French American cuisine.
Mhm. Establishment is a French American restaurant. And then the hours, I think
7
12
a.m.
a.m. is
to 12 a.m.
Mhm.
If I may, sorry to interrupt you guys. The applicant's name is Nick Granato instead of Nate Granato.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. No committee stipulations, and there were no comments for or against. So there's no objection to the application. And it was unanimous again. Unanimous. Thank you again for joining us and for walking us through
Thank you for
your
having me.
application. We wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Mhm. Okay, so we had a short agenda tonight of applicants. We can move on to my report, which will be short because we do have some new business to discuss, but I think many of you, if not all of you, know that this is Alexandra's last meeting, which is very sad for us. I just wanted to thank you again on the record for everything that you've done for this committee. We really appreciated everything, me personally, your patience with following up on emails and sometimes last minute responses, but you've done so much for us and have really been incredibly informative. And I think I speak for all of us, thanking you and wishing you the best on your next endeavor.
Thank you.
And now moving on to old and new business. I want to pass this over to John, but in collaboration with the Youth and Education Committee and also Health and Human Services, we have been discussing offline smoke shops and their proximity to schools. And so I'm asking John to kind of give us a little summary of what the discussions have been. They met last week, and I'll let John explain more. But
Okay, and in order to not extend unnecessarily a meeting that has been brief, I'll actually read from some of the minutes that we prepared. We had a meeting last week of I'm chair of the Health and I'm John Keller, and I'm chair of the Health and Education Committee, Youth and Education Committee, Committee Board 6. And an issue that has been on Claire's table and my table, and Elvie Barroso, who's chair of the Health and Human Services Committee for some time is, and we've been looking for a means to jump into it, is the sale of cannabis-related products through smoke shops located, in our case, near schools, which was our way to get into this issue. So we had a meeting last week where one specific school, which is raised this issue, and in the interest of not making this about one school, I'm happy to name the school, but since this is on YouTube, I won't do that because this is a much broader issue that Claire will be quarterbacking as we move ahead. So at our meeting last week of the Youth and Education Committee, we had several representatives from several elected officials, and in addition, 15 members of the public who appeared to express concerns about this issue. We were very fortunate to have Brad Usher from State Senator Liz Krueger's office. He gave us an overview on this issue, and as you know, State Senator Krueger sponsored the legislation in Albany that legalized the sale of cannabis-related products, but with careful restrictions and guidelines, which have also been emphasized by the mayor. But Brad Usher from Senator Krueger's office made an extensive presentation. To be very brief, smoke shops of any sort are prohibited from locating within 500 feet of a school in New York City, and THC-based cannabis products may be sold only by licensed dispensaries in New York State. Until this week, no THC licenses have even been issued. Till last week, yet a substantial number of unlicensed dispensaries already operate illegally but openly in the city, and some cannabis sales are taking place within 500 feet of schools. The law also prohibits THC-based products from being marketed to children or other persons under 21 years, and this is being fairly flagrantly disregarded. The Office of Cannabis Management, with which Senator Krueger's office works very closely, is collaborating with law enforcement agencies and has sent cease and desist letters to several operations, which at least puts them on notice. And there is legislation providing for more enforcement power that has been proposed and will be one of the things that would be, I think, on our plate as we move ahead on this. The Office of Cannabis Management is especially interested in shutting down unlicensed operators because they compete with the legal cannabis operations. And we just want to make the point that this is not an anti-cannabis argument here. I mean, this is a protecting kids discussion. Okay. And Katie Loeb, in fact, from City Council Member Rivera's office, was present and was also extremely helpful during this discussion, and emphasized that the unlicensed sales of THC and cannabis-related products undercut the racial equity and justice components of the law and the enforcement that Mayor Adams is endeavoring to do. In other words, the gray market for cannabis is undercutting the mayor's efforts to, for example, give licenses to people primarily of color who were imprisoned for possession of small amounts of cannabis. And so these are actually undercutting a lot of these objectives. And for anyone who are interested, violations may be reported at any time to enforcement@ocm.ny.gov. We had several parents from a local school presenting. We had the president of the Community Education Council for District 2 in attendance, who wrote an extensive email that I'll share with Claire after this. And LV Barroso, chair of the CB6 Health and Human Services Committee, spoke. And board member Kevin O'Keefe, who was also a member of this committee, was very instrumental in connecting the board and parents in this case. And I, as I did at that meeting, compliment him at this meeting. What came out of this, and this is where I won't get into the weeds, the comments showed a complex array of concerns and indicated a desire by parents and others for CB6 to represent their and their children's interests. I mean, we have every issue here from people setting up tables selling cannabis-related products in playgrounds. We have trucks stopping in front of schools, and then when the police come, driving away and then coming back 2 or 3 hours later. There's a lot going on in this right now that that I think CB6 and Claire and LV, but particularly Claire and this committee can be involved in, and also involved in presenting our own suggestions for legislation on enforcement. There's a pretty open plate here for us to be involved in. And I emphasize again that the concern was not the lawful sale of THC-based cannabis products, but the unlicensed sale and the marketing of such products to children. And I want to express, as I did at the meeting, my gratitude to Council members Power and Rivera, Senator Krueger, and Assemblymember Epstein for their work and leadership on this issue. I think there's a united voice on wanting to be sure that we protect kids here. And in Brad Usher and Senator Krueger's office, we have a resource that's extremely valuable, and I know we'll be eager to be engaged with this committee. So I'm going to stop right there and hand it back over to Claire, because you know, and I'm going to ask one particular member of my committee to be quarterbacking it for health, youth, and education. I haven't, because of, you know, the holiday things, I haven't been able to speak with him yet, so I won't mention the person's name. But Claire?
Thank you, John, for your reporting and for taking charge, excuse me, on this issue. I think we can add it to the agenda for next month to talk as a committee, but I wonder if anyone has any follow-up questions right now, or you know, clarifications from John. Okay.
Sorry, I just have a quick question. Oh, sorry, I was trying to raise my hand at the same time as speaking, which is not helpful, but are we just looking at, John, like elementary schools and middle schools, or what are you thinking?
That's a good question. It's illegal to sell this to people under the age of 21, to sell cannabis-related products. So that would pick up a large, you know, a local public college was mentioned as an example of, you know, it's a school near which a shop was located. So that's all good. That's why this so quickly gets into a lot of detail on the law, because that's a really good question, Seema. If the age is under 21, then the school, clearly middle school, clearly elementary school, and clearly high school. My kids were, you know, not at 21, and they're still sophomores, they won't be 21 until they're juniors in college. So there are many complexities on this. So that's a great question, but there's no doubt it applies to elementary, middle, high schools. There are questions on the table. That's why I read from my notes rather than ramble on, but does this apply to nursery schools? Does this apply to daycare centers? How does all of this work together? And that's what makes this such a big topic for this committee and for a community board, because it seems that the community board is the right place for this kind of issue to come. Does that help a little, Seema? The answer is yes, it applies to anyone under the age of 21, which would certainly incorporate elementary, middle, and high schools.
Yeah, I know we'll have like a more fulsome discussion at a later meeting, but that was helpful. Thank you.
Jason?
Yeah, I guess my question is in regards to that, is the issue is more around the overall enforcement of selling cannabis not legally rather than it being in proximity of a school. Is that correct?
If I understand your question, I mean, they overlap, because selling it within 500 feet of the school is against the law.
Right, but selling it not licensed is against.
That also, the shop that we were dealing with, particularly in this case, was also not licensed.
Because yeah, my understanding is the issue is that they're only issuing licenses to establishments that can abide by the school, the house of worship law and everything. And just the problem right now is that there's a lot of, we're in that gray window area where it's been decriminalized, licenses aren't just yet, and it's all the bodegas are selling it everywhere illegally, whether it's near a school or not. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it's not that it's just near a school, it's just everywhere. So my understanding that
we will be taking, I know this will be up to Claire ultimately, but I think we take on all of that. I mean, and it was only last week that the first THC licenses were even handed out,
That's kind of why it's my understanding that the issues around enforcement of selling of cannabis rather than the issue of it being near like a school or a house of worship or anything like that.
It's a big, a major, Senator Krueger included this in the law because she wanted to make sure that schools were specifically protected. And so if I found out at the meeting from Brad and Mr. Usher that it's 500 feet. I thought it was 200 feet.
Yes.
So that has to be, and we really want to make it clear this is to anyone on YouTube following this, if we have anyone, that this is not an anti-cannabis movement. Okay, we're not against. In fact, our board passed a resolution supporting, which I helped write, supporting Senator Krueger's law. What this is about is, from my committee, protecting kids, and I think from Claire's perspective, making sure, just like we do with all the shops that want to sell alcohol, that they're doing so in compliance with the law.
Yes, thank you, Jason. That's a good point. And, John and I also have been talking about this, but, we were going to kind of like loop Matt's committee in as well, which I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the exact name of it, but it's, they deal with enforcement issues. So thank you for that. Yeah, again, we'll be continuing this discussion, so you all can kind of think about it in advance of our next meeting.
I could suggest if we could get this, perhaps, I'm sure I know Brad Usher has forgotten more about this than I know. So having him or someone like him at our next meeting might not be
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yes, I think other than that, thank you again, Alexandra, for everything. Are there any motions to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Susan. We don't need a second on that, so the motion is accepted and we can end the meeting at 7:11 p.m. Oh, actually, we did need to see if there were any objections, but I don't think